Congratulations, graduates. Today's Dharma message will be given by Reverend Hirosato Yoshida. Reverend Hirosato Yoshida, born in Shizuoka, Japan, moved to Hilo, Hawaii at the age of 7 when his father became the resident minister at the Hilo Kaishoji Soto Mission. Later, his family relocated to Oahu, where Hirosato graduated from Roosevelt High School and earned a BA in anthropology and religion at the University of Hawaii at Manoa. Following graduation, he returned to Japan for monastic training at Daifukuji between Tokokuji. For 8 years, he served as the Soto Shu administrative headquarters, working for Hawaii Bishop's office, assisting the bishop with statewide meetings, events, and services. He served as the liaison between Hawaii and Japan, especially during the Hawaii Soto Mission 110th anniversary and 650th Gazan Zenji of primarily pre-millenary service. He also helped to facilitate and coordinate university events for Soto Zen Buddhism across North America, South America, and Europe. During 2021 to 2022, he also served as the director of social media and intergenerational programs for the Hawaii Association of International Buddhists. In 2018, Reverend Yoshida left his position at the Soto Shu Administrative Headquarters to become a resident minister at the Soto Mission of Hawaii, visiting and minister for the Kauai Soto Zen temples, Zenshuji and Hanapepe. In the summer of 2027, Reverend Yoshida and his family will be moving to Kona. For a year, Reverend Yoshida was served as Daifukuji's associate resident minister under the guidance of Reverend Jiko, who will be retiring in 2028. Then he will become the 13th minister of our temple. Reverend Yoshida is here today with his wife Aika, and they have 2 children, Sosuke Skylar and Kina. It gives me great pleasure to introduce you, Reverend Hirosato Yoshida.
Thank you. Long introduction. I think I gotta shorten my bio. As you get older, you accomplish, or I don't know if you say accomplish, but because I'm talking to the graduate, you'll age, and as you age, you do things, and then your bio continues to get longer and longer. Imagine when you live to 100 years old. but but I hope there's a lot of things I do want to share today, and my talk is very, very long because I know at Daifukuji everyone likes long talks. Actually, we try to keep our talk about 5 to 10 minutes. But before I start, I want to ask, how was the earthquake? Was anyone infected? Reverend Nakade showed me some pictures of Daifukuji that all of that kind of fell and some of the roof, and so I hope everyone was safe. No one was injured. It must have been very scary to suddenly get that shake. I remember in 2011 I was in Japan and I was working in Tokyo, and I felt that the East Japan earthquake all the way from from the Miyagi side. That's where it was, and then I was in Tokyo and could feel that shake going. So I know how suddenly these shakes just comes in and just scares all of us. But I'm hoping that everyone was at least safe and wasn't injured. But my hearts and my prayers for all of you, and especially for the Kona community moving forward as you recover from any of the damages that you have received. But today we're here to in 3 things, right? For world peace, for memorial blessing or service for the deceased individuals who have sacrificed their life so that these graduates can find today to be a peaceful moment, to find happiness in their graduation. And I want to just begin and say congratulations to the 6 who are here and the 2 individuals that may not have been able to make it today. And I just want to say you made it. Congrats. And parents, grandparents, aunties, uncles, teachers, and friends, you made it as well. Some of you probably made it, had a harder time making through graduating your children. I can imagine myself in 8 years when my son is going to be graduating. Oh, a lot of his tears thinking about all of that hardship that parents have to go through. I don't want to say sacrifice, but I think there's a lot that parents go through to raise their children. So, 6 of you here, make sure you say thank you to your parents. But today is a joyful day. It is also a strange day. Graduation is one of those moments when everyone asks big questions. Where are you going? Where are you going to study next? What do you want to do with your life? What is your plan? And those are important questions. And I remember those were the questions I was asked when I was graduating from Roosevelt. But when you're 17 or 18 years old, it feels like everyone expects you to have a complete life plan already prepared. Like you are supposed to stand up and say, yes, after careful reflection of my 17 or 18 years of life, I have mapped out my next 60 years of my life. How many of those have been able to do that? It says, like I'll begin with college, then career, then meaningful relationship, and then financial stability, then, of course, the important one, spiritual maturity, and then retirement. And finally, I'll become a wise elder who gives good advice. Right? And I'm sure many of you are at that stage. And that sounds all nice, but most of us do not live that way. Most of life does not become clear in advance. Often we understand the meaning of something much later. So today, instead of giving you a big, complicated life advice or plan, I want to share or tell you about something small. If you came to the New Year's party, you may already know, but a yo-yo. So when I was in 5th grade, when I was living in Hilo, I don't know if you know Prince Kuhio Mall. That side, there's a big KTA. Right on the second floor, they used to have yo-yo classes. So that's where my yo-yo adventure began, in Hilo at KTA. I started playing with a yo-yo, and at that time, I did not think that this was a deep spiritual decision. I was not sitting there thinking, oh, this yo-yo will someday teach me the meaning of life. No, I thought it was just simply cool. A yo-yo was simple, it fit in my hands, and you throw it down, and if things goes well, it comes back up. So the first trick you learn is called a sleeper. Just throwing it down. At first, you're not going to be able to do this. Or at least when I was 5th grade, you'll have to, it goes crooked, and eventually it dies, it won't come back to your hand. And there's going to be a lot of these kind of mistakes that goes around doing yo-yos. And of course, it'll hit to the floor, get tangled, and somehow it attacks your head, your other body parts, and you end up with a lot of bruises and bumps on your head. And if you can accumulate the bumps on your head, and if it doesn't heal, I'm pretty sure my bump will be too tall for me to enter this tube. But at first, you're not good. And I'm sure nobody is good at the beginning when you start anything. The string gets tangled, the yo-yo comes back in crooked. You try to do one trick and accidentally invent a completely different trick called, how did this not happen? And if you ever played with a yo-yo, you know a yo-yo is honest. It does not care about your confidence, and you can say, I got this. And then the next moment, you can't do it again. But I keep practicing, not because I knew where it would be, not because I thought it would be some useful thing in the future. I practiced because I just enjoyed it, and I wanted to land the trick. Then I wanted to land it again. Then I wanted to learn a new trick. And little by little, the yo-yo became part of my life. And later, that childhood hobby led me to become a part of a yo-yo professional team in Oahu. And I know that might sound funny, but back when I was growing up, yo-yo was the thing. And a lot of kids were playing yo-yos during recess. So a professional yo-yo team was, you get to go out of school and then you get to visit different schools and then do some performance. And I believe, at the time, it was one of those enforcement to show off your yo-yo tricks and your skills, but at the same time, bring a different type of funness for children to not go into the dark side, right? Like drugs and things like that. You have something that can bring joy to you in other ways. And I think that was part of the, activities that I was part of, going to different schools and showing. And of course, we got to go to like Foodland and Sack and Save and Safeway and do some performance during the when the store was open. And all of that was kind of like a very interesting experience for me as being a professional, yo-yo team. And that childhood practice became a way for me to connect with people. It became a way to entertain other people. It became a way to make people laugh. And it became a way to walk into a room and be able to break the ice. And it became a way to bring a little joy in that atmosphere. And looking back, I had after I would say little after ninth grade or so, I kind of drifted away to other things in life as you start high school. But I still kind of played at home occasionally, but eventually it kind of went into the closet and never came out for a while until when I was, at work. And this was my first year in the administrative headquarters in Japan. And during the New Year's party, they were asked, okay, all of the first year, you gotta do something to entertain your seniorities. I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? I'm not a good singer. I know how to chant, but everybody here is a minister, so that's not a skill to, impress. And I was looking through my memories boxes, and I saw, oh, I got my yo-yo, and I picked it up, and that's how I kind of got back into playing yo-yo. And behold, it kind of gives me this thing for coming in as a minister. You get to play around. But, this is a close to a Buddhist teaching I like to share today to the graduates. In Buddhism, especially in our Soto Zen tradition, we have a teaching called Inga Oho. In means cause, ka means fruit or result, and oho means to respond or return. In simple English, means action bears fruit. And what we practice does not disappear. Now, this teaching gets misunderstood. It does not mean everything that happens is your reward or your fault, depending on if you succeed or fail. It does not mean life is a simple system of reward and punishment. It does not mean if something bad happens, you must have deserved it. No, Buddhism is much more compassionate and much wiser than that. Inga means our action matters, our habit matters, our words matter. The small things we return to again and again begin to shape who we are. If you practice kindness, kindness becomes more natural. If you practice patience becomes more available. If you practice anger every day, anger also becomes easy. And if you practice giving up every time something is hard, giving up becomes a habit. But if you practice returning after failure, returning after embarrassment, returning after disappointment, then returning becomes a part of your strength. And this is why the yo-yo is such a good teacher. The yo-yo goes out and it returns. It drops and rises. It spins because of tension. It becomes graceful through repetition. And sometimes it gets completely tangled, and that's life. So graduates, as you leave high school, people will tell you many things. Follow your dreams, work hard, be yourself, don't forget to call your parents, especially that last one is important. And all of these are good. But today I want to give you one simple sentence to remember. Don't throw away your yo-yo. And I do not mean you all need to go and buy yo-yos after this ceremony. Although that honestly, that would be wonderful. But I mean, do not throw away the small practice quietly shaping you. You might know, you might not know yet what your yo-yo is. For some of you, it might be music. For some, sports. For some, art, coding, cooking, caring for your younger siblings, helping your grandparents, being the friend who listens when everyone else has a hard day. For some, your yo-yo might not look impressive at all. It might be the practice of showing up on time. It might be the practice saying thank you. It might be the practice of apologizing when you are wrong. It might be the practice of trying again after failing and losing a game, not getting into the school or team that you wanted to, or feeling like everyone else has life figured out except you. So please remember, the value of a practice is not always visible right away. Some fruit takes time, some cost ripen slowly. Some of the most important things you learn now might not make sense until later down the line of your life. When Steve Jobs gave his famous commencement speech at Stanford, he talked about connecting the dots. He said, you cannot always connect the dots looking forward. You connect them looking backwards. And I think that's true, and that's where my yo-yo is. When I was in fifth grade, I didn't think that yo-yo will be a part of my life to when I'm 40. But looking backwards, all of those dots connected, and I have something that I can share. And who would have guessed that it would have been yo-yo? So when you are in the middle of life, you often do not know what something means yet. You do not know which friendship will change you. You do not know which failure will teach you humility. You do not know which small skill will someday become useful. You do not know which ordinary act of kindness someone will remember for the rest of their life. When I was in fifth grade, I did not know, like I said, that this yo-yo will become a part of my ministry. In Soto Zen, Dogen Zenji teaches that practice and realization are not separate. This is called Shusho Ito. It means practice is not only valuable, it means practice is not only only valuable later when you finally get the result. The practice itself is already doing something. When you practice patiently, patience is already present. When you practice kindness, kindness is already alive. When you practice returning, your life is already being shaped by returning. So you do not think your life begins only after graduation. Do not think your life begins only after college. Do not think your life only begins after you get a job, the degree, the relationship, the house, or your perfect plan. Your life is already happening now. Your practice is already shaping you. The cause you plant now will matter. The way you speak to people will matter. The way you treat those who cannot do anything for you still matters. The way you handle disappointment matters. The way you use your attention matters. The way you return after getting tangled matters. Because you will get tangled in life. And I'm sorry to tell you this on a happy day, but it is true. And I'm sure all the adults here can say yes. But your plan, in life will get tangled, but that's okay. The journey is the importance. Your relationship and everything will find its place when time arrives. The Buddha did not teach that life will never become difficult. The Buddha taught that we can meet difficulty with wisdom and compassion. We learn how to return to the breath, return to kindness, return to honesty, and return to the people who love us, and return to the practice that keeps our hearts steady. So let me just show you a little bit more. So after you learn the sleeper, you start doing like walk the dogs and other kind of things. And once you get to the front, you start learning these kind of things called brain twister. And then once you get to that, you'll learn how to do like these kind of arrows. And once you get these, you can bounce it around, spin it, catch it again. Right? And once you learn these kind of things, you start doing the sidewards. This is called the roller coaster. It's an easy move. If you look on, Instagram and all these kind of things, there's so many people who are way, way better than me, and I've been just out of touch. And since the time I played and the things that are available now, it's totally different. So the tricks that you can do now is, completely different. That I'm still learning how to do a lot of these kind of tricks that are getting popular these days. So yeah, this is an interesting hobby to have. One trick that I've been trying to practice for today, but I was not able to do it yet. But it's called like DNA. I don't know, maybe you saw it on Instagram. It's a pretty famous trick amongst the kids. Anyone who play yoyo? I don't want to be here playing this and like, oh, Reverend, I can do all of these tricks better than you. But you're supposed to like catch this with your finger. So there's something like that. I can't do it, but yeah, I'm supposed to put it on your finger. Yeah, I cannot do it yet. Maybe next year. Going back, you're going to be entering a world that often measures you by results. Grades, scores, degree, salary, titles, followers, achievements, and those things have their place. But please do not let the world convince you that only visible results matter. Much of that, what shapes a good life, is quiet. Patience is quiet. Integrity is quiet. Compassion is quiet. The courage to begin again is quiet. But these quiet things become the fundamental or foundation of a life. So choose carefully what you practice, because what you practice, you become. If you practice gratitude, you become more grateful. If you practice courage, you become more courageous. If you practice generosity, you become more generous. If you practice paying attention, you begin to see more clearly. And if you practice joy, a simple joy, playful joy, yo-yo joy, you might find that joy becomes something you share with others. And that to me is the deeper lesson. The yo-yo was never only about tricks. It was about learning how to return. It was about returning or learning that failure is not the end. It was about learning that small repetitive action becomes a gift. At first, the practice was for me. I wanted to learn, I wanted to improve, I wanted to land the tricks. But over time, the practice became something I could offer to others. And best practices do not stay only inside. They become generosity, they become service, they become laughter, they become encouragement. They become a way to help others. So as you graduate, I hope you ask yourself not only what do I want to achieve, but also what do I want to practice? What kind of person do I want to become through repetition? What small good thing am I returning to again and again? And what is my yo-yo? And when you find it, do not throw it away too quickly, even if other people do not understand it yet, even if it does not look impressive, like my yo-yo. But even if you cannot explain where it will lead, even if that string gets tangled up in life, stay with the good practice. Let it teach you, let it shape you, let it ripen it in its own timing. Inga oho, action bear fruit. What we practice does not disappear. So congratulations to all of you today. You have completed one part of your journey. Now many new causes and conditions are opening up for you. May you choose them with care. May you practice what is good. May you be patient with fruits that take time. May we remember that life does not have to make perfect sense right now, and may you never forget when life drops, it can rise. When things tangle, they can be untangled. When you fail, just return. And sometimes the small things you practice because you love it becomes a gift you offer to this world. So please don't throw away your yoyo. Congratulations.